Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this NFL 2021 Week 3 DFS Preview Edition. However it is, folks, I need a podcast name. If you know podcast names, leave a comment down below. My name is Adam Kohn, I am your host. And this is right here at Main Event DFS. If you haven't tuned in our stuff before, again, my name is Adam Kohn. I'm an NFL DFS analyst here with Main Event DFS, and I'm a content provider for Main Event DFS as well. You may be familiar with my CSGO Clutch podcast that currently is on a little bit of hiatus. It's been a little busy for me. We're going to return for the next event, so taking Blast off right now. Can't wait to get back with you guys for some CSGO, but we're here to talk some Week 3 NFL for the 2021 NFL season. And a little bit different format here for today's show. Last week, my buddy Jeremy was on here. He was a wonderful guest. Thank you again, Jeremy, for tuning in, for joining us last week. And thank you for getting me on. The Bills and Miami game stinks. The Tua got hurt. That game could have been so much more. And could have gone so many different ways. And again, that was 35-0. I'm surprised Diggs didn't go off more. Any of them were receivers. It was Singletary day. And we had some right plays last week. This week is going to be a little bit more of a brief overview. It's been a somewhat busy week for me, so I'm going to go over my top 3 games I'm going to target. I'm going to give you 1 game for a GPP. I'm going to give you 1 game that I'm looking at to fade, and then I'm going to go into some of my favorite defenses, and then I'm going to go into our core value GPP and favorite stack segment. So let's get right into it. Again, this is brought to you by Main Event DFS. Drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell next to it. That way there you all know every single time one of these videos and podcasts drop. Leave a comment down below. If you got a podcast name for us, leave us some podcast idea names. I can't think of one right now. I'll get one before the end of the season, I promise. Alright, let's get into it. Also in the comment section, tell us what plays you all are on. Tell us why you're on them. Tell us who you like. Tell us who you disagree with. Let's have a chat in the comment section. And as always, our Discord link to the Main Event DFS Discord is going to be in the description below. Hit that see more button to get that Discord link. We'd love to see you in there. Alright, we get once again, a 13-game main slate here. And we're going to get right into the heavy hitter of the entire day. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to rotogrinders.com. I love this website. Been a fan of Rotogrinders for many years. And I just want to take a look at the games with the highest over-unders and look at the team projections. I've got Vegas Insider here where we can see some of the live lines as well. I'm going to be using Rotogrinders today as well because I want to look at the team lines. So, no surprise to really anybody, the Rams-Bucks game is the highest over-under on the entire slate, 55.5. Currently, this is like a 1-point spread. So we get 27.25 predicted for the Rams and 28.25 predicted for the Bucks. I think this game is going to be hard hitting. We are going to start with that game. So let's head into it. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Los Angeles Rams. And we're going to go position by position like we always do here on the podcast. And let's get into it. Let's start off with the GOAT, Tom Brady, the greatest NFL quarterback of all time, looking for ring number 8. He's only getting better with age, folks. Tom Brady through 2 games. Let's pull up his stat chart here real quick. Through 2 games, he's got 32.16 DraftKings points and 30.64 DraftKings points. He's thrown for 9 touchdowns. He's thrown for, over 600 yards already. The dude's an absolute beast. He's a beast much. I had to put my fan on. It's getting hot in here. He's had a fumble. He's had a couple interceptions. It really doesn't matter. He's been outstanding. This is going to be another high-scoring game. Look, let's talk some game theory real quick. If you want to play this as this isn't going to be the highest game on the slate, or the highest scoring game on the slate, I'm okay with that. Now, why am I okay with that? Because these are arguably 2 of the best defenses in the entire NFL. You can make argument 2 of the top 5 defenses in the NFL. Also, by the way, with high-powered offenses. So this game is either going to go right down the middle, which is what I think. I don't think we're going to have a 40 to 40 point game. I don't think we're going to go. I think 55.5 is a really good line. You're going up against an amazing linebacking core and front 7 of the Buccaneers with a secondary. Sorry, Bucks, you still have an secondary in my opinion. Versus the Aaron Donald-led defensive line for the Rams and the Jalen Ramsey-led secondary for the Rams as well. I think it's going to be very interesting. Maybe Tampa attacks the Rams in the middle of the field. Again, through 2 weeks, I'm not using 2021 stats, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pull up Pro Football Reference, and we're going to go over here to the 2021 season. We're going to look versus the tight end position because I'm curious. So, versus the tight end, again, no one's really played anyone good, but, you know, the Bucks giving up the 5th most, the 5th most receiving yards to opposing tight ends. Rams giving up the 8th most receiving yards to opposing tight ends. Look, it's not exactly like tight ends against these teams have blown them away. You know, the Bucks have faced, you know, the Dallas tight ends and Kyle Pitts, who really wasn't targeted. I mean, Pitts is going to get better. Rookie tight end. I think he's going to be a stud. Then you have the Rams, only get up 135 yards to tight ends. Again, these stats are all fluky, so I'm not looking at that. Let's actually take a look at last year's stats. So we're going to head over to 2020 stats. Check out Pro Football Reference. What an absolutely outstanding and amazing website. So we're going to go over here to stats, and we're going to take a look at the defenses. So the Rams are down here, and Bucks are right in the middle. Kind of more what I expect. Again, good defenses are going to produce. I'd actually take probably more of a shot on the tight ends. We'll get there. But for me, I can see this being a Gronk game. So with that being said, the other mode of this is you just think the defenses aren't going to matter and you want to stack this game several ways from Sunday. I don't know if, quite frankly, on a Friday night at about almost 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time that I'm going to be doing that. But Tom Brady, 6,800. Matt Stafford, 6,400. Look, I have interest in both of these quarterbacks, and both quarterbacks are probably going to make my player pool for my 20 max. If you're entering 150, absolutely have both of these guys in your player pool, in my opinion. Or anything even greater than a 20 max. So, you know, no-brainer quarterbacks you want to play. But let's take a look at the running back game. I have a rule. I don't play running backs versus the Bucks. I just don't do it. The Bucks have arguably, if not proven, to be the best run-blocking team in the entire NFL. They were last year. We don't play running backs against them. They're funneling to the wide receivers. That's where we're going to attack the Bucks. I have no interest in Darrell Henderson, who may not even play in this game. Keep that in mind. At 4,900, Sony Michel is interesting if you're taking shots on maybe an afternoon slate, or you want to take shots on like a main slate. You want to get like 10 to 20% Sony Michel in your 20 maxes and above. I have no problem with that. Just keep that in mind. Look out for the Darrell Henderson injury news. I believe right now he's trending towards not playing. But it looks like he's truly questionable, and he's going to be, that's what it is, he's a game-time decision. So we're probably not going to know before the start of the main slate, so be prepared if you do play Henderson or Michel to pivot. Now, on the Tampa Bay side of the ball, we have Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, and Giovanni Bernard. I think this is still Leonard Fournette's backfield, but they love using a committee. If we take a look real quick at Leonard Fournette, he's been given 9 attempts and 11 attempts rushing, and then he was at 7 targets and 4 targets. He looks to be the main back. We take a look at Ronald Jones, who finally came out of the doghouse last week. What did he do last week? Okay, he had 6 rushing attempts, and he had 3 targets through the air. Okay, great. What's Giovanni Bernard doing? Giovanni Bernard is doing a lot of nothing. He's just involved in the passing game, and at this point, he's just being used as a change of, well, I want to mean change of pace back. Looks like a situational play. He's good for a couple catches. I'm probably not putting Giovanni Bernard in my player pool, especially not against this Los Angeles Rams defensive line in their front 7. No, thank you. For me, I'd focus on Fournette and then Jones, but I think Fournette's in play. I think Rojo is in play, but I prefer Fournette to Rojo. Again, Leonard Fournette at 5,000, Rojo at 4,800, Giovanni Bernard at 4,200. Let's get into what y'all been waiting for, the wide receivers, and I'm going to start off by saying this. Why is Cooper Kupp not getting any respect, DraftKings? WTF, DraftKings? Cooper Kupp's only been arguably the best wide receiver in the entire NFL already through 2 games. I know, small sample sets. I get it. 26.8 DraftKings points against Chicago. 39.8 fantasy points last week. DraftKings points against Indy. He had 10 targets versus the Bears, 11 targets versus the Colts, 7 and 9 receptions respectively. 1 touchdown against the Bears in week 1, 2 touchdowns against the Colts in week 2. He's a beast. You're playing Cooper Kupp this week. You put him in your player pool. I think the more interesting play is Robert Woods. who has seen 4 targets against Chicago, 9 last week against Indy. He hasn't really produced. He had 3 catches, 3 receptions to 5 receptions respectively. He did have some rushing attempts here, that's fine. He had a touchdown against the Bears, but 12.4 fantasy points, 12 fantasy points is not getting it done. But I think the price discrepancy here in a week where we're probably going to need some salary saving. I think this could be a Robert Woods week. Would not surprise me least. We know this with the Rams. It's either Woods, it's Kupp. Sometimes it's both. Sometimes one of the other's favored. Right now it looks like Coop is the guy that Stafford is targeting. I think I'm absolutely taking some chances on Woods. Maybe slightly more exposures with Kupp and Woods being more even than lopsided Kupp to Woods. If you want to go another way and have more Woods than Kupp, I got no problem with that. Again, there's an $1,100 price difference. Cooper Kupp at $6,800. Robert Woods at $5,700. Let's get back to the Bucs side of things, which everyone just wants to stack the Bucs. Antonio Brown is still in the COVID-19 protocol. So, latest play this up by RotoWinder. Brown didn't practice Friday. It isn't expected to be available for Sunday's game against the Rams, according to Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. So here's what Brown needs to do. According to the analysis here, so that's the new spot or whatever, Brown needs to produce 2 negative COVID-19 tests at least 24 hours apart after testing positive for the virus earlier this week. And he's running out of time to clear the necessary protocols to play this weekend. So, again, with that being said, it looks like, again, according to Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times, looks like he's trending towards not being available for this game, which means, hello, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Who the F is Jalen Ramsey going to shadow? I have no idea. If I had to just take a guess, I personally think we're going to see Ramsey shadow Evans. Evans stretches the field on the outside, and I think Ramsey would shadow Evans. I think this is going to be a feed it to Godwin kind of game. Godwin might end up being a core play for me by the time this podcast is over. We haven't decided yet. Check in with us at the Main Event DFS Discord once we've had time to take a look at the cornerback wide receiver matchups. Mike Clay, a big shout out to Mike Clay over at ESPN, does a great job with his article every week. Cornerback wide receiver matchups, go check that out. So I would definitely, though, put both Evans and Godwin's in your player pool because it's probably going to be the two wide receivers, and in my opinion, it's going to be Gronkowski day. You know, you could take a chance on a Van Jefferson for the Rams, a chance on a Shelby Miller for the Bucs, maybe even a chance on a Ty Johnson or a Tyler Johnson. Meh. Let's get into the tight ends. Excuse me. Gronkowski, $5,500. He's expensive, folks. But Gronk and Brady haven't lost a step. Gronk's done nothing but produce 29 fantasy points week 1. 8 targets, 8 receptions. Last week at Atlanta, the touchdowns bailed him out. 5 targets for 4 receptions, 2 touchdowns. So he's got 4 touchdowns through 2 weeks and 19.9 fantasy points versus the Falcons. I think Gronkowski firmly in play for your Tampa Bay stacks. I even like Gronkowski as a one-off tight end, though for me, I want to make sure I get Gronk with Brady. Tyler Higbee is only $4,000. Yes, please. I will gladly take some Tyler Higbee to differentiate my Ram stacks. Tyler Higbee through 2 weeks. 6 targets versus Chicago and 5 receptions. 11.8 fantasy points. Only 1 target last week for 1 reception against at Indy for 1.8 fantasy points. Look, that was Cooper Kupp week. And that game was all Cooper Kupp. It seemed like Cooper Kupp was the hyper target. It's okay. I expect Tyler Higbee to bounce back on the $4,000. I want to make sure Tyler Higbee is in my player pool. That's game 1. Let's get on to game number 2. And, I mean, we should probably talk about it. It's the Chargers at the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is good at football. I know. Hashtag analysis. The problem is Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce are all really freaking expensive. Let me refresh the page to make sure we have the best and latest lines. Going to filter here by over-under. And this is a free tool, ladies and gentlemen. Head over to rotogrinders.com and you can head over to the NFL tab and just check this out. NFL betting odds. This is free. You don't have to be a premium subscriber to see this. So the Chargers and the Chiefs, 54.5 over-under. The Chiefs have the highest projected points on the slate at 30.75, with the Cardinals coming in at 30 points. But this one is interesting to me. And I don't know if Vegas is giving Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense enough credit. 23.75 projected points for the Chargers? No. We're going to talk about that right here, right now. Patrick Mahomes, 8,200. Play him if you can afford him. No analysis needed. He's good at football. You play him. You play him with Tyreek Hill. You play him with Travis Kelce. That should be your main Kansas City stack. I know. Shocker. Let's talk about the Chargers, who I'm more excited to talk about in this game than I am the Chiefs. Justin Herbert is $6,500. He's good. Through 2 weeks, he's shown that he can be good. Now, he hasn't had a ceiling game yet. He's 18.38 DraftKings points and 19.72 DraftKings points against Dallas. Washington, a really good defense, 20-16. Dallas, I don't know what happened in that game last week. A lot of us were on the Dallas and Chargers game. No idea what happened. Justin Herbert, through 2 games, has 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. That's going to correct itself. And I think it starts here against Kansas City. Why do I say that? He had 47 attempts for 31 completions against Washington. Again, really good defense. 41 attempts versus Dallas for 31 completions in a game that was 17-20. Some of these things go a different way. This looks a little different. He has 675 yards through 2 games. He is going to be slinging the ball. And against Kansas City, that's not going to change. So we take a look here real quick, and we get into the running backs before I even get into the wide receivers, because I think the Chargers wide receivers prices are laughable. Austin Eckler comes in at $7,200. One of my favorite running back plays on this slate. He is going to be catching passes from Justin Herbert. People were worried week 1. Where are the targets? 0 targets versus Washington. Washington has one of the best front sevens in the entire NFL, if not the best front seven in the entire NFL. Not surprising. Eckler against Dallas, massive bounce back week. So 11.7 points against Washington. Not what you wanted out of him at 7,000. 7300 last week, 22.5 DraftKings points. He had 9 rushing attempts for 54 yards, but he caught all 9 of his targets. So 9 targets, 9 receptions for 61 yards. He didn't score a touchdown, but I don't care. 22.5 DraftKings points in a game that went 17-20. In a game that should have been higher scoring. 22.5 DraftKings points with no touchdowns. Sign me up for some Austin Eckler this week. What we need to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is the hilarious price on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Or, as he's been kind of joked around, Clyde's season's been canceled. Look, I know he cost them the game last week. Well, he didn't really cost them the game. The fumble cost them the game, but that game could have gone many different ways. $4,800. I know he's not getting many targets. He's getting okay rushing attempts. Look, have him in your player pool this week. $4,800 is too cheap for him. And I'm really curious. If I'm just going to take a look real quick. Bear with me here, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm going to be doing here is actually pulling up some projected ownership. Just real quickly. For one of the websites that I'm using. I'm just going to pull up some projected ownership. Yeah, not surprising. Clyde is going to be, looks to be highly owned this week. I see him right now. I'm not going to end the website, but I see Clyde right now at 12.5% ownership. Again, this is as of Friday night at 8:09 p.m. Eastern. So, it's fine. 12.5% owned for Clyde is fine. But again, $4,800 in a game that's probably going to be high scoring. I actually like this game to go higher scoring than I do the Bucks and Rams game. There's a hot take for you. Darrell Williams, not seeing any attempts. He is nothing more than a backup to Clyde. I'd be very interested to see with Clyde's fumble last week if Darrell Williams has any more extra play in this game. I don't think he does. I don't have really any interest in like Larry Roundtree or anyone else. Like Roundtree, I would assume is the guy over Justin Jackson. It's what it seems to be, which is fine. If Massive dart throw in large field season, long as I try making a get at Roundtree, but not someone you have to actively target. Let's talk about it though. The wide receivers in this game. Tyreek Hill is 8,400, and the next highest priced Kansas City wide receiver is Demarcus Robinson at $4,100. Mecole Hardman's 3,900. You're playing Mahomes, you're playing Clyde, you're playing Hill, you're playing Kelsey. Right now, as crazy as this is to say, you can all call it a hot take. I think the Chiefs are kind of, sort of a one-trick pony. Is that crazy to say? Because I kind of think it's crazy to say. It's Mahomes, it's Hill, and it's Kelsey. They're your main three. Clyde's going to see work. Demarcus Robinson's going to see work. Mecole Hardman's going to see work. But you know where the main targets are going to be. It's going to be Hill. It's going to be Kelsey. They're really good players. You're playing Mahomes. You're playing Hill. You're playing Kelsey. For nothing else that needs to be said. What I want to talk about is the ridiculous, I guess somewhat, not fully laughable, but somewhat laughable price of Keenan Allen at $6,600 and Mike Williams at $6,400 for reasons I just don't quite understand. Let's go Keenan Allen first. Keenan Allen, 13 targets in Week 1 against Washington, 8 targets in Week 2 against Dallas. 22 DraftKings points, 17.8 DraftKings points respectively. Has not caught a touchdown yet. 9 receptions on 13 targets for 9 receptions and 8 targets for 4 receptions last week against Dallas. Fine. Let's talk about who's been playing better. And that's Mike Williams. Oddly enough, is the man that's been catching the touchdowns. Mike Williams finally showing why he was worthy of a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. 12 targets for 8 receptions against Washington with the touchdown for 82 yards. 22.2 DraftKings points. 10 targets, 7 receptions against Dallas, 91 yards, a touchdown for 22.1 DraftKings points. You're playing Keenan Allen. You're playing Mike Williams. Excuse me. I really think that Herbert, Allen, Williams might be the stack that breaks the slate. I said it. Not afraid to say it. And from what I'm looking at, I see Keenan Allen at 10.4% ownership. I'm still looking for Mike Williams ownership. Haven't seen him yet. 4% projected ownership. I love me some Mike Williams this week, and I also really like Keenan Allen this week. I'm mixing both, but I think both are outstanding plays this week. Demarcus Robinson, Mecole Hardman, have them both in your player pool. Demarcus Robinson, 2 targets against Cleveland, 4 targets against Baltimore, 1 reception, 3 receptions respectively. He caught a touchdown against Baltimore for 13.6 points, fine. Mecole Hardman, I gotta be willing to support the snap count. 3 targets against Cleveland for 3 receptions. 8 targets for Baltimore, 5 receptions. No touchdowns yet. I think I'd go with Mecole Hardman over Demarcus Robinson, but I think this could be a Demarcus Robinson type of game. So just keep that in mind for this week. Tight ends, you're playing Travis Kelce. Jared Cook, let's talk about him. Can you tell I really hit the Chargers this week? Can you tell who might be my favorite stack of the week? So against Washington, again, a really good team. 8 targets, 5 receptions. 10.6 DraftKings points. 5 targets, 3 receptions against Dallas. 5.8 DraftKings points. He hasn't gotten many yards. I think it's a good play this week. Shout out to my buddy Anthony Stenson, who really likes Jared Cook this week. Says he might be a sleeper. The more I think about it, the more I think this could be, because, again, I think this game is going to be a shootout, and I think Cook could be a big part of this game. I'm not going to go crazy on my exposure to Jared Cook. And I think I'm probably going to have Jared Cook in my player pool. With that being said, I have nothing else to talk about for game 2. But we need to talk about is the third game on this slate that I want to talk about. And I haven't quite decided yet which third game I want. Do I want Chicago-Cleveland? Cincinnati-Pittsburgh? Do I want to just continue to give you more chalk games of Seattle-Minnesota? Arizona-Jacksonville? I think we're going to talk about Seattle, Minnesota. I know. So why am I talking about all the highest price ones? Because it's the ones you want. I will give you a list of GPP games and players I like for GPPs after this segment. But we want to make sure, games we're targeting. We want to make sure we get all the highest price games. We want to capture as many points as possible. But Adam, why are you talking about the Arizona game? Didn't you just say there were 30 points projected for a team total? Yeah, that's nice. Arizona's going to have theirs. What is Jacksonville going to do against them? Jacksonville projected for 22 points. I think that's generous with how terrible we've seen Jacksonville play recently. I'll get to that game. I'll save it for our GPP section. Let's talk about Minnesota-Seattle. Currently sitting at a 55 over-under. Seattle projected 28.5 points. Minnesota projected 26.5. I love this game. Let's talk about it. Russell Wilson coming in at $7,600. I think is a little pricey for me. I don't mind having Seattle stacks, but there are just other plays that I want. Kirk Cousins, 6,300, I think is where we're going. Because I think this might be a game where they rely a little bit more on the pass than they do the run. Why? Dalvin Cook might not play in this game. Cook ankle was listed as a non-participant in Friday's practice, though Coach Mike Zimmer said the running back, quote, did some, unquote, work prior to being listed as questionable in the final injury report. Courtney Cronin of ESPN.com reports. That came there. Check out these RotoWires news, guys. Awesome stuff. I don't know if he plays. And again, we have another questionable running back on a 425 game. If Dalvin Cook doesn't play, you are going to fire up a ton of shares of Alexander Mattison. He doesn't see a lot of work because Dalvin Cook's been on the field. You're going to fire up tons of shares of Alexander Mattison. Yes, he's $6,000. I don't care. Seattle, not good against the run. We take a look at last year's stats versus the running back. This defense doesn't scare me. Where are the Seahawks anyway? Wow. They got the 4th fewest rushing yards versus opposing running backs last season. However, they gave up a decent amount of receiving yards to opposing running backs. So, good against the rush, bad against receivers. Fine. I think they were a little bit worse than last year's stats actually indicate. So if we take a look at the 2021 stats versus the running backs, the Seahawks this year have given up the 3rd most rushing yards versus opposing running backs, and have given up the most receiving yards versus opposing running backs. I know Seattle's been in some shootout games already. Quite frankly, I really just don't care. On the other side of this game, we have Chris Carson sitting in at $6,400. 16 rushing attempts, 13 rushing attempts. He even saw some targets against Indy. Play Chris Carson this week as well. Because Minnesota, well, they've been pretty decent against that. Okay, there we go. Yeah, both teams bad against the run. I think you're playing a lot of running backs in this game as well. But I want to make sure I get exposure. If Cook is ruled out, and I really hope we have this information prior to 1 o'clock lock, Madison's going to become a great play. I actually don't mind taking shots on Madison if we don't have the news. Again, with pivots, maybe we pivot to a Fournette, a Michelle. Maybe we pivot to a Kenyon Drake, a Myles Gaskin. Maybe we pivot to a Melvin Gordon or a Javonte Williams. Have your what-ifs ready to go. If Cook is ruled in, get your Madison shares out and pivot. There are 2 405 start games. We're going to have injury news before the 405 start games. Just remember that. They're not all 425s this week. 2 405, 2 425. Keep that in mind as you make your lineups. So again, if you have Dalvin Cook in your lineups, have a plan to put Madison in and spend up somewhere else. Have your what-if statements ready, because there's definitely some questionable news in the late slate that might affect how you're building your lineups. So again, long story short, I don't mind playing Cook. I'm taking the chance on Madison personally. I think Cook might be out for this game. I'm playing Madison. Chris Carson on the other side, absolutely someone I have interest in. Talk about the wide receivers in this game. Tyler Lockett coming in at $7,400. DK Metcalf, $7,300. Justin Jefferson. Sorry about that. My headset shut off again. Justin Jefferson coming in at $7,200. Adam Thielen At 6,700, I'm not playing Freddie Swain. Sorry. No disrespect to Mr. Swain. I have no interest in playing you this week. KJ Osborne is someone we're going to talk about in a minute. As soon as DraftKings decide it wants to load. Let's take a look here real quick. Reconnecting my internet. I don't know what happened. Refresh the screen real quick here, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. All right, let's get back in here to it as soon as that wants to. I have no idea what's going on. DraftKings, anytime this year, please. I got plenty of internet connection. It's craziness right now. There we go. All right, let's get back into it, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Let's get back into it here. We take a look at Freddie Swain. Really? DraftKings? Come on. DK. Come on. Come on, dude. Maybe the Swain card is the one to load. There we go! Freddie Swain! $4,000 this week, 1 target in week 1, 5 targets last week. Yeah, the touchdown. Nothing else to be said. If you want to take a chance on Freddie Swain, 5 to 15%, maybe 20% in your large field GPPs, I got no problem with that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, however, let's talk about Mr. KJ Osborne. $3,500, probably going to end up being chalk. I think KJ Osborne is somebody that you absolutely want exposure to this week. He is going to be someone that we are going to target. And I think that KJ Osborne is going to give us the salary savings we need for us to be successful. I really do. And with that being said, KJ Osborne is someone that's going to give you value this week. I apologize, folks. I should not be having internet issues like this. I have no idea what's going on. I don't typically have internet issues like this. There we go. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, for the technical difficulties. All right, so KJ Osborne, $3,500. Through 2 weeks, 9 targets in week 1 against Cincinnati for 7 receptions, 76 yards, no touchdowns, 14.6 DraftKings points. You love to see that at a min price of $3,000. Last week at Arizona, in the shootout game that was, he had only 6 targets, 5 receptions, but he had 91 yards and a touchdown for 20.1 DraftKings points at 3,300. He hasn't gotten much of a raise here. They're at home for their home opener. I think KJ Osborne's a great play. Tight ends in this game, GERALD, EVERETT, Tyler Conklin. They are nothing more than punt plays. Conklin's seen 4 targets each of the first 2 games. He caught all 4 of them in the first game. 4 targets, 4 receptions. And then the next game in Arizona, 4 targets, 2 receptions. Hasn't caught a touchdown. I have no interest in Herndon either. Still coming in, still in the playbook, not really seeing much of anything. Tyler Conklin's the guy. GERALD, on the other hand, against Minnesota, I don't mind taking chances on him, but 2 targets in each game, 2 targets for 2 receptions against Indy, 2 targets for 1 reception against Tennessee, 1 touchdown in week 1 against Indy. They're nothing more than punt tight end plays, not somewhere I personally want to go. Let's get into our GPP segment / games I'm going to fade segment. GPP game is going to be Arizona-Jacksonville. And I'm going to briefly go through this game. Kyler Murray's $8,300, Trevor Lawrence $5,500. I have almost no interest in Jacksonville in this game. If you want to take chances in large field GPPs and Jacksonville stacks, I have no problem with it. I'd pick Lawrence, and I'd go with Marvin Jones and Laviska Shenault. You can take some chances on DJ Shark if you want. That's it for Jacksonville. Right now, they need to prove it to me before I play anyone else. I have no interest in James Robinson this week. James Robinson comes in at $5,700. I'd rather play Chase Edmonds for the same price. James Conner, $5,000. Take chances on him, sure. I'd much rather Chase Edmonds. He's the clear number 1 back for this team. James Conner, we take a look real quickly. He had 16 rushing attempts against Tennessee for 53 yards, no touchdowns. 8 rushing attempts at Minnesota for 23 yards. I'm sorry, at home versus Minnesota. But Chase Edmonds is the one I have interest in. I don't know if Edmonds got injured in the first game. We have Edmonds with 12 rushing attempts for 63 yards and 4 targets for 4 receptions in game 1 for 14.6 DK points. 8 rushing attempts last week versus Minnesota for 46 rushing yards. 5 targets for 5 receptions for 29 yards against Minnesota. 12.5 DraftKings points. I'd rather Chase Edmonds than I would James Robinson. James Robinson really not doing much of anything here. 5 rushing attempts, 6 targets in week 1. He hasn't scored with 10 DraftKings points in any of the games yet. He's not proving it that he was last year. I don't know if it's the conference. I don't know if it's the Urban Meyer offense. I have no idea. No interest in them. I'd rather Chase Edmonds, James Conner, and James Robinson. Fine. Edmonds first. You want to be Robinson? No problem with it. And I like James Conner as well. Probably not going to have a lot of James Conner. Probably more Edmonds than Conner. But he's fine if you want to take a chance on him. It's Jacksonville. DeAndre Hopkins currently listed as questionable for this game with a rib injury. Again, game time decision. We will know that before the start of lock. So check in the main event DFS Discord and be on the lookout for that as well. With Aaron Schefter and Ian Rappaport tweeting out injury reports. And just keep an eye to Twitter. Check on the injury status reports here. I have interest in DeAndre Hopkins, obviously, if he plays. $8,200. If Hopkins doesn't play, you're firing up Rondell Moore. You're firing up, I think, Christian Kirk over Rondell Moore because he has more trust in the offense. I'd go Kirk Moore and AJ Green. Rondell Moore, $5,000. You're going to have Rondell Moore in your player pool. He's #good. I really like Christian Kirk this week, though. I think it's a Christian Kirk week, $5,400. And then AJ Green, $4,500. I really don't have any interest in large field GPPs. I don't mind it. And you can really play him in your early-only slates. DJ Shark coming at $5,300. Marvin Jones, $4,900. Why Marvin Jones is still $4,900, I have no idea. I'll probably have one-offs of him as well. He's probably going to be a favorite run back of Arizona stacks, and you can mix in Shark and Chenault. Chenault coming in at $4,400 off the injury report, it looks like. Yep, hit Chenault's shoulder, practice fully Wednesday. I expect Chenault to play. I don't see any injury report tag on him, so we'll leave it at that. Chenault, $4,400. Tight ends. I have no interest in any of the tight ends in this game. That is your GPP game. Again, for me, I'd rather stack Arizona than Jacksonville, but definitely have your running backs with Jacksonville. Other games I want to target. I don't mind Chicago stacks against Cleveland. I just don't. The biggest GPP game we're going to talk about is Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Ben dealing with an injury. Deontay Johnson out for this game. T. Higgins doubtful for this game. This game could turn into a low-scoring affair. But I got no problem taking a chance on it in the large field GPPs. The over-under currently sitting at 43.5, with Pittsburgh with a team total of 23.25 and Cincinnati at 20.25. We take a look super quick at the quarterback pricing. Ben Roethlisberger, 5,700. Joe Burrow, 5,500. Both are fine. Najee Harris, 6,600. Someone I think you can have exposure to in your player pools. Absolutely. I have no interest in mixing in this game. 6,300 versus this great Pittsburgh defense. No, thank you. No interest in any other running backs. The other two, they're the main guys. They're the workhorses. Wide receivers in this game, again, Deontay Johnson is out. T. Higgins listed as doubtful. Sign me up for some Chase Claypool, ladies and gentlemen. I'll take Chase Claypool over Juju Smith-Schuster. However, if Big Ben is playing injured and it might just be peppered down targets, I don't have words, folks. I don't mind playing some Juju Smith-Schuster as well at 6,000. Chase Claypool, 5,800. Jamar Chase will probably become the biggest beneficiary of the T. Higgins being out injury, $5,400. Burrow to Higgins and Boyd is going to be a massive cheap stack. I don't mind if you want a single stack it. You want to just go Burrow, Chase, maybe run back a Claypool, maybe run back a Juju. I'm fine with that. If you think this game shoots out, by all means, stack this game several ways from Sunday. But I think the main beneficiaries of Deontay Johnson being out is Claypool. T. Higgins listed as doubtful. I think he's out. I would say it's Jamar Chase. If T. Higgins is in, I don't know if I'm playing much of T. Higgins. I'd probably play more of Jamar Chase. I also like Tyler Boyd for this matchup at 5,700 as well. Don't forget about James Washington at $4,000 with Deontay Johnson ruled out. And I get no interest in any of the tight ends in this game. If you want to take a chance on an Eric Ebron, I got no problem with that, but only saw 2 targets in each game so far. 2 targets for 1 reception in Buffalo. 2 targets for 0 receptions against the Raiders. Freiermuth, I had no interest in the 3,000. Nothing more than a punt play, but has seen 5 targets so far over Ebron. 1 target in Buffalo for 1 reception. 4 targets for 4 catches against the Raiders. No touchdowns, but maybe Freiermuth over Ebron. I think this could be an Ebron game as well. Games I'm gonna fade. I want to say I'm fading Washington and Buffalo. I really do. I want to say I'm fading that game, but I don't think I am. I have no interest in the New Orleans-New England game. I think it's going to be very low scoring. New Orleans-New England currently sitting at... Where even are they? They're even on the... Yeah, 42.5. Patriots have a 22.5 team total, and the Saints at a 20 team total. I think this is going to be a massive defense game. It's going to be raining here in New England on Sunday in the morning, so the field could be wet for the start of this game. So I just have no interest in any of the offenses in either game, both top 10 defenses in the NFL. Now, one last game I'm going to give you for GPPs that I want to make sure you all target is Atlanta and the Giants. I'm going to be loading up on both teams. You want to expose you to as many pieces of this game as possible. Atlanta and the Giants are currently sitting at 47.5, which I actually think is too low. I love Sterling Shepard this week. I like Mike Davis this week. I like Slayton this week. I like Ingram this week. I like Barkley this week. I think Cordero Patterson's a fine play, but just know he's going to be taking up a running back spot, not a wide receiver spot. Calvin Ridley, I think, is a great play. I want exposure to this game, and once again, I'm going right back to the well on Kyle Pitts. And both quarterbacks firmly in play, both under $6,000. Daniel Jones at $5,800 and Matt Ryan at $5,400. I think this becomes a higher scoring game. I would take the over on 47.5 for this game. Let's get into some of my favorite defenses for this slate. In our defense segment, Broncos at home versus the Jets is the highest priced defense of the week, $4,300. Have them in your player pool. For large field GPPs, I like the Patriots defense at home versus the Saints. I like the Steelers defense at home versus Cincinnati. Bills against Washington is fine. Let's start off by going to the lower tier. What do we got down here? I like the Titans at home versus Indy, and with a backup quarterback, we have no idea if Carson Wentz is playing. We'll have that information prior to lock, because it is I think it's a 1 p.m. game if I'm not mistaken. Hey, where is it? Where'd it go? There it is. Yeah, it's a 1 p.m. game. We're going to know if Wentz is starting. If Wentz is starting, I'd be shocked. I would downgrade the Titans defense a little bit more. If anyone else is starting, like a Jacob Eason or whoever, Titans defense, $2,400 is a fantastic play. I think I don't like playing road defenses, but I don't mind taking chances on the Washington football team at Buffalo. Not really something I want to do. Where's the Raiders defense at? $3,400, I think, is someone we're going to be targeting as well. The Raiders. Browns defense. I know I kind of buried the lead to the best defense on the entire slate, $3,200. We're locking in the Browns defense. Well, not a lock. I'm going over it in the Browns defense. I'm sorry, Justin Fields. I think you're going to be a really good quarterback in the league. You could be a great quarterback in the league. You're on the road at Cleveland. Browns defense is really good. I'm going to have exposure to the Browns defense as well. That's it for me for defenses that I like. I don't mind if you want to take chances on the Rams defense at home versus the Bucks. Probably not something I'm going to do, but something I can see doing. That is too expensive at $3,500. I'd much rather get exposure to the Raiders and the Browns, even the Giants before I get to the Rams. But I think the Rams are a decent play as well. But that Tampa Bay offensive line is really good. All right, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Core value GPP favorite tier and favorite stack segment. I don't have a core play this week. I have more GPP players, so I'm going to give you close to core play as possible, and that's going to be Austin Eckler and Cooper Kupp. There was close to core plays that I'm going to get. Now, value plays on this slate. I'll give you a value at quarterback. Joe Burrow, $5,500. Trevor Lawrence, $5,500. Matt Ryan, $5,400. Justin Fields, $5,200. At running back, we'll go below the $5,000 range. Leonard Fournette, $5,000. Sony Michel, $4,900. James White, $4,900. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I know, shocking, $4,800. He shouldn't be that cheap. Cordero Patterson, we've seen him really involved, but again, he's going to take up a precious running back spot, but he's $4,600. I don't mind that as well. Where is Javonte Williams? He may not even be playing. I'm curious, is Javonte even playing? No, it's Javonte's more expensive than that. All right, that's fine. So, that's it for running backs. Not really anyone else I want to take a chance on. So let's just get into the next game here. The wide receivers value plays. Laviska Shenault, $4,400. Darnell Mooney at $4,300 if he plays. Marvin Jones, $4,900. Rondell Moore, $5,000. I don't mind taking chances on Corey Davis, but again, at Denver, rookie quarterback, not so I'm looking for. Tyler Boyd and Will Fuller, both $4,700. Tyler Boyd, $4,700. Will Fuller, $4,700. Slayton, $4,600. I don't mind some Nelson Aguilar at $4,600. But again, like the defenses in that game more. Sanders at $4,200 is fine against Washington. Rashard Higgins at $4,200. Cleveland's only going to really have Beckham. So Schwartz is $3,200. Peoples-Jones, $3,000. Great value and GPP plays in this game. Tight end, Higbee and Cook. Don't get cute. I don't mind Njoku or Hooper either versus Chicago. And again, EBRON and Pat Freiermuth. GPP plays, they're all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. I can't even really narrow them down. I could list off tons of them. Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes, Stafford. Like, you can pick so many of these quarterbacks and go there. So let's just get into some of the other plays. I even think Heinicke is an interesting play for $5,600. GPP plays, Najee Harris versus Cincinnati. Derrick Henry, $8,600 versus Indy. I have no interest in Kamara at New England, but he's a GPP play. Chubb at Chicago, sure. Bad matchup. Fine GPP play. Austin Eckler. Jonathan Taylor. Saquon Barkley. Chris Carson. Alexander Madison. No interest in Gibson this week. We'll have our chances. Not against the Buffalo defense. If you want $5,900, I got no problem with that. I don't think it's the week for Antonio Gibson. But he's getting the workload. I still think it's the week we play him. Tyson Williams at Detroit. Love that play. Love some Tyson Williams this week. Melvin Gordon at home against the Jets. I have no idea if Javonte Williams is even going to be playing in this game. I think he should. It's just such a time split right now with them. Mike Davis is fine. Let's end it there. Wide receivers, again, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, too cheap. Like Mike Evans, Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, Tyreek Hill, Diggs. We're going to have to figure out ways of narrowing down our player pool, ladies and gentlemen, because right now, like, Ridley is a great play, 7,000. I haven't decided on what to do with my player pool yet. I might do a 4th and Goal live show this Sunday and go over some of my player pool that I like. Sutton at 6,000. Shepard at 5,900. Claypool, 5,800. Woods, 5,700. Marquise Brown, 5,600. I don't know if I get a Golladay, but I mind him. Kenny Golladay. Questionable right now for $600. He's dealing with a hip injury, I believe. Listen, it's questionable. Limited practices Wednesday, Thursday. Ran routes Friday morning. Again, check for Kenny Golladay stats. We'll have that before lock. Even Odell Beckham and Christian Kirk and Jamar Chase and Sammy Watkins. So many plays here that I like as GPP plays. Again, I like Marvin Jones' run back in your Arizona stacks. Tight ends, it's Kelsey and Waller and Gronk. And Kyle Pitts. Maybe even some Mark Andrews this week at Detroit. Hawkinson, maybe some popular Rebecca and Baltimore stacks, $5,200. All top 6 tight ends priced this week are firmly in play. Noah Fant against the Jets is fine. Logan Thomas at Buffalo, not one of my favorite plays, but he's fine. So I'm probably paying up a little bit more for tight end this week. Probably going to stick to this Gronk to Fant range, but I'm going to absolutely have exposure to Kelsey and Waller, especially in my Kansas City stacks. That's going to now, and of course, my favorite stack, in case you all kind of haven't guessed it, it's Herbert, it's Eckler, it's Allen, it's Mike Williams. That's going to do it for this edition here for the NFL Week 3 2021 DFS Preview Edition. I really need a name for this podcast. That's not part of the title, but that is going to do it for me here for this week, for this Week 3 Preview Edition here for the 2021 NFL season. Check us out again over at the Main Event DFS Discord. Check us out on Twitter at Main Event DFS, MANE. Link to the Discord is in below. Hit that See More button in the description. And again, drop a like on this video. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below. And hit that notification bell. That way you'll know every single time when these podcasts drop. And again, leave a comment down below. Tell us who you all are on. Tell us who you like, who you don't like. But leave a comment down below. And for that, I will catch you all next week for the NFL Week 4 Preview Edition. Good luck on the slate. Latest, peoples.